parcel hasn't arrived to my longest screw eyes yet, so it's now the weekend. I want to see if I can get this thing weighted and swim tested so I can cast a few more. Obviously the casted ones will have the weights already inside them, so I'm just going to have to wing it and put these small guys in. Highly doubt I'm going to get a fish on a swim test, so just got to decide. I think I'm going to go that hook, which is, what are they? They're a number 2. So one tip I can give everyone, keep your hook far enough forward that it's not going to get stuck in the joint. I'm going to keep the hook fairly forward, probably about there somewhere. It's going to look a little bit silly, but at least the lure will be usable, practical. Probably went a little heavy-handed on the epoxy, but doesn't matter. This one's literally just a tester. I want to see if that tail actually performs how it should. So keep the eye about there somewhere. That leaves me with all this space to put lead in the casted body. I can also get some lead up in the gills somewhere. Toe point is going to be low on the nose, about there. For the swim test I might throw a second one in up higher, but I'll probably just end up taking the drill with me when I do it. Just eyeballing the center. The other one's going to be a little bit harder, so I've got to stay away from the cavities where the joint is, but I've also got to stay away from the screw eyes. So if I go like that, on that sort of angle, should be just short of that. I'm really hoping I don't have to get any weight down into these sections. I will have to, but I'm hoping I don't have to. I'm purposely leaving all these pins long until after the swim test, and I'll recess them into the body. Probably drop a bit of UV resin or something in there to lock them in, or 5-minute epoxy, one of the two. They will be glued in the final. So what do you reckon? Sideways nose eye? Yeah, we'll do it sideways. I'll actually keep both these hooks in the backwards position. By backwards I mean, so when the hooks are against the body, they're like that, you know what I mean? Just because this one I worry it might get stuck in the tail. Oh, that's top, that's bottom. Protect your eyes when you're doing that, those things go flying. Alright, so without any weight, no clear coat, no paint, no eyes, I'm going to throw him in the water and see what he does. Just a container big enough, only just. Oh, what a sad fish. That tells me something. The back two pieces sink, the front didn't. I think it's time for a new scale. So I'll tape all that on and we'll drop him in the water again. So 6.5 grams, 6.5 grams, 3.6 grams. Like a rock. Way too much. So what do you reckon? Take the one off the joint or take the one off the front? Let's joint it. If I can get away with it, I'd love to not put any in the joints. Shit, even that's still too much. So I'll get rid of that other big 6.5 gram one at the front and I'll put the 3.6 gram one on there. This thing does have a lot of metal hardware in it, so 6.5, 3.5. I'm pretty happy with that. Might actually be too quick. So just the one, 6.5. Surely that won't be enough. No. So 6.5, 2. Put the 6.5 right at the head and then the 2 in the belly and just see what it does. Alright, so this is with the weight more forward, 6.5 at the front, 2 grams behind. So the tail wants to float. Now, I'm going to dry it off, drill some holes, shove that in there, potentially take this guy for a swim test. So I drilled those 2 holes. Forgot to press record on both times, I believe. I'll have to check that when I get to the editing. Yeah, beautiful. Just using some of this Chinese hard UV resin. I just use it for doing this sort of stuff. Prototype a lure. Glue up your lead holes, just so you can get out and swim test it. I'm going to do both holes one at a time because I'm going to have to tilt it funny. A couple of bubbles started coming up before she was set, but rock hard, beautiful. I've been resisting the urge for the last couple of days to actually paint this thing too. Ow, hooks. Alright, I'll bring this water tank back over. I'm really happy with that. That's good. I'll ditch this water and we'll do a little bit of messing around, then we'll go swim test it. So just for swim test purposes, I'm going to throw an eye into it. Plus, this is now technically a finished prototype. Such a tight fit on this eye, they wedge in there quite nice, but I'm still going to glue them in. There's a touch of UV. Obviously everything behind this black circle is not going to get cured, but everything that squeezes out will. To be honest with you, if I was a fish, I would smash that. Big chomp right out of the guts. End up with both trebles in your mouth. Actually, you know what, before we go, let's check its weight and dimensions. Have a guess how much you reckon it weighs? With all that lead, all that steel, I'm going to say 68 grams. Way off, 53. Final measurements of the body, 135 mil. Need a brag mat for lures. So 155 tip of tail. Alright, I'm going to tie her on the rod, go and get changed into some wet weather gear because it's raining. I'm going to swim it. Alright guys, not far from being night time, so let's go and get this shit done pretty quick. Just have a quick sneak peek on the chest cam. Well, I'm happy with that. Let's go home and cast a few up. Alright, back from the swim test. She got a bit rainy. Absolutely pissed down on my way home. Alright, I'm pretty satisfied with that. The only other thing I'm thinking, right, I might put an optional chin weight up here. So if you are fishing a deep drop off or something, you can chuck a, I don't know, 6 gram lead or something off it. Make it get down there quick. Dive down to the depths. Apart from that, I'm pretty happy with it. It did tend to hug the surface a little bit. So I'm thinking I might upsize that lead, but then also I'm going to add a lot of weight when I clear coat this. For now, stick with this. After I paint one, if I'm still not happy with it, I can make them heavier. Plus I'll have the chin weight there if I want to add a 2 or a 3 gram. Yeah, I'm going to prep this mould up and start casting a few for painting. So cast it, leave it 5 to 7 days, clean it down with isopropyl alcohol, then paint. I came across a small issue with this design. These little inserts, I don't know what it is about that polyurethane resin. So I was lubing them up with petroleum jelly. The first one was firm to get out, but it came out clean. The second one was really hard to get out, and the third one just wouldn't come out. I don't know whether that polyurethane reacts with this polycarbonate or something. I've come up with a different idea. I got on the 3D printer last night and 3D printed a 6 cavity insert mould. Now that'll actually come out awesome. Alright, so that's all those things cut to size. Thread them onto their rods. A little bit of fiddling around to get them right. Must still add some of that mica powder in that mould. Have a look at the colour of that. Poo speckles all over it. So what do you reckon's going to happen? Silicone going to rip, or is it going to come out? No, it's already pulling away. You ripper. Wiggle back and forward, gentle pull. Alrighty guys, here we are. So I've casted a few up. I'm only going to paint maybe one on camera today. Yeah, let's get to joining him. So for now I'm going to join him just to paint. I'm going to get isopropyl alcohol and brush all this down to try and get that polyurethane resin residue off. It's been about a week now since I've casted them, so I should have finished off gassing. Alright guys, I'm going to be battling the lawnmowers here. One guy just finished mowing his lawn and the other one started, so... Alright, the main event. I printed out a couple of reference photos. So this crimson spotted rainbow fish, you can see he's got a lot of variation. This one here is super pale, he's yellow, he's probably a juvenile or maybe a female or a male, I don't know. Didn't look into it too much. Just printed out 4 photos of different colour variations. The main thing I can see really is that green upper half, the lateral. Probably going to start with a dark colour backwards to highlight the scales. Come back through with a white that way, and then start laying colours on. It's going to be a shiny belly. All of them have got the shiny belly. That one's hard to see because it's not a very good photo, but they've all got that shiny, chromy, silvery sort of belly. That one's very white. So lay him down on his bed for now and start getting some colour on him. I'm going to go smoke black, see if the smoke black sprays. So I've recently cleaned this gun out, gave it a full makeover. Now it's got a 0.5 nozzle in it, 0.5 needle, sorry. I usually always run a 0.35, so the 0.35 always had issues spraying this smoke black. Yeah, it's just a thick black, that one. I'll see if it'll spray it, but I'm going to have to thin it, I dare say. Yeah, I'm gonna have to thin it. So I'll just use 4011 reducer because that's a Createx paint. Maybe 15%. Spraying at 40 psi. So darker at the top, lighter on the belly. I've seen this trick off, shit, I can't remember who it was now. Sponge, wet sponge, water in there. Clean your tip. Helps with tip drying. We'll come back through with the white on the opposite direction now. So this white always sprays awesome, so I'm going to have to be careful. One of the best parts about this paint job is the fish is actually a fairly rough looking fish. Alright. Try not to pick it up too much without touching it, so scales are all black underneath, all white from that direction. Gives it that a little bit of definition. So I think if we might focus on this guy in the left here, it's going to be real pale greeny yellow top half and across the top of his skull, so might go with that next, I think. Game Air Sick Green, which I'm going to put a little bit of opaque white into. It's going to be a fairly opaque colour, so it's going to come from the front that way as well. It's going to go on super thin. So looking back at the pictures, if we're spraying this way, so just below the gill, straight line all the way to the tail. And we'll come under that with a yellowy orange, then that yellow stripe. Currently it looks too green, but don't worry too much about that. I'm going to come back later with the pearl white and gloss it all up. And I'll pick him up and spray his back. Alright, so that's the first colour down. Sorry guys, I just missed recording that. That was a golden yellow, like whited down. I think I went 4 drops of this, 4 drops of white, just to take the brightness out of it, make it more of a pastel. I'm going to put a slight hint of blue just underneath that, mainly on his belly. We'll try and keep this super light. Now the next part is going to come through and start washing all that out so it's not so vibrant. Probably start with the dark colour on the back and then go over everything with a pearl white. Pearl black, semi-transparent. This is mainly just to dull the colours. So how far down am I going? All the way into the yellow. So now it's sort of washed it out a bit. Looks good. And we'll swap out the pearl white and we'll come up from the belly. Just wicked pearl white. So this is going everywhere, even over that black I just sprayed. Alright, so far that's what we're looking at. Now to get that orange in there. It's going to be scary. So for the orange, sort of runs up the middle of the yellow. So right from the tip there up till maybe the 3rd section. Then it has a bit of a break and comes back on the gills. Let's pick an orange. Hot orange, Game Air. It's a little bit daunting. If it's too bright, I'll just come back over it with the pearl white again, but the more times I do that, the more yellow disappears. Might actually turn my hair down a little bit for this one. Alright, so this is 20 psi. So he's nearly done. Come in with a bit of dark green just above the orange. I'll get the pearl white out first and we'll knock that orange down a bit. Alright, so I've just got a touch of detail moss green in the brush. And I need to sort of bring that yellow back into it. I think I might have went a bit too heavy taking it out. Alright guys, so this is where we left off before the camera died. Except for now, he's got a black eye. He didn't have that just before. But now I've got to put black back in the brush anyway and paint these eyes using the old stencil. They just go up in 1mm increments. These 12mm eyes, I like to use this size. So what are they? It's got a little bit of darkness about it, doesn't it? That one's orange. That one's orange. Let's go orange. I'm going to try and shade a little bit of the eye with the gunmetal. So I'm just going to do the top. Yeah, now I'm going to come back and hit all that with chrome. Alright guys, let's glue some eyes in. I'm not going to clear coat these tonight. They've had a coat of, what is it, UVLS. I've got to cut the rubber tails and glue them in before I can clear coat them. So tonight I'm just going to glue these eyes in to see what they look like. Whoa, that's a lot of super glue. Hope that doesn't come out when I put this in. Alright guys, already got one coat of clear on him. I didn't worry about showing that. Just one coat of clear. Stuck a logo up under the second section. I'll put this next lot of clear on. Hopefully it is the final, but we'll see. Be super careful around those joint holes. I don't want to impede those at all. I also don't want to leave gaps around them that aren't clear coated. Just going to go through and put the hardware in this, and we'll take a fish in tomorrow. You can see that I had a couple of issues here. Super gluing those eyes in, left a little air cavity behind it. So bubble both sides. I'm going to scrape that out a little bit, put some UV resin in it and try to at least seal it up a little bit. Looks pretty average at the moment though. It's been sitting for like 3 days, so it's rock hard. It's good. Nice thick coat on it too. So using this guy, the old tester. So the gap worked good. So I'm going to try and replicate that gap. I put a chin weight as a tester. Worked good as well where it was. And the actual upper line tie worked better. That works heaps better. So I'm going to put them all higher than what I had the original. Fishy arvo bite. Sun's about an hour and a half from setting. So I'm heading over to the far side of the dam that's already shadowed. Flick this guy around for a bit. Alright guys, this is going to wrap up part 3 of the 4-piece swim bait build of the crimson spotted rainbow fish. I just got back from the dam then, fresh water. Took him out to the salt water yesterday and cast him across the sand flats for flathead, but no go there either. So there he is in all his glory, finished. So I've got the little chin weight hanging off it for the fresh to get him down deep. Thrown some 3X mustards on it. Size 1, so I did upsize from the size 2 I originally planned on putting on it. If I do, if I do go out fishing and catch something on this, I'll put it up as a part 4 video. It'll just be a quick fishing only. Alright, thanks for watching guys. Catches.